All right, Stephanie Washer again. The Network Plus Guide to Networks, ninth edition, 1-5, Safety Procedures and Policies. So we're going to just talk about high availability. I'm probably going to go through this one pretty fast because there's a whole chapter on it. And but we'll talk about emergency procedures. So anytime you have emergency procedures, or if you have any kind of emergency, you always have to have a plan, and that plan should include certain items. So we have different things here. So the company might have emergency procedures, and they might have a building level fire suppression system, a room level, a rack level. So it might have different things in place. So we've got different items. We might have water protection. We might have sprinklers. We might have a rack level, meaning in our networking device there. So the fire could be neutralized very quickly on that equipment. So a fire can really hurt networking equipment pretty badly. So we want to have some sort of plan for all of our information and all of our hardware. Other parts of that fire suppression system are emergency alert system, portable fire extinguishers, maybe even a power off switch. So we have many things. So we've got our fire extinguisher here, and then obviously we want these to be rated correctly for electrical fires and not expired. Mine at home are all expired, so I had to go get them recycled. So the National Emergency Alert System can only be activated by the president, but that, can happen if there's ever any major emergencies. Fail open, fail close. So, what happens to security when the system fails? So you want to fail open, which is fail open or fail close. Fail open, giving everyone access. Fail close, denying access to everybody. So that there can be problems either way. So a fire alert, fail open, all doors stay unlocked so that people can safely leave. Obviously, you want that. But you might have a security risk for thieves entering the building. So if you have a firewall protecting everything, so if the database fails and the customer credit card might fail, then you can configure that one to close and deny any access. So that's when you would want to deny close, right? So fail open would be if people's lives are at risk. Fail close would be something that would be very specific purpose, right? So we wouldn't want anybody else to be able to use that credit card number if it was if there was an issue. So we want it to fail close. And then we got our safety data sheet. So always, that we've got our material safety data sheet, our OSHA regulations, our chemical information, and if we need that. Of all of the years I've been working in IT, I haven't had to worry too much about any of this. The only thing you really need to worry about is when you're recycling, because it's not like you're destroying the computers on site. You recycle them with a local organization, and they handle all of that stuff. But when you're working on anything, anytime you have like a computer open or anything like that, you do want to be careful. So that's where we have the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, that has all sorts of regulations for electrical safety and all of the devices and anybody that works near any of the electrical stuff. Always want to be safe. And then you want to wear personal protective equipment to protect yourself at all times. So like eye protection, you don't want dust or fumes or anything like that. And so, hopefully you have your tools are in good condition. I bought some cheap tools and they tend to break. So I've started just buying tools at Farm and Fleet, some better tools. So you always want to make sure that you have decent tools and the right tool for the job. And then tripping, obviously you don't want to trip. Lifting heavy objects, you need to be careful and do the proper lifting techniques. Don't lift with your back, lift with your legs. Protecting against static electricity. So here's the thing about this. You can wear a static bracelet or that will discharge all of that. You can ground yourself. What I do most of the time is I just make sure that I touch the case of the item I'm working on, and that will discharge the electricity. So you want to make sure you don't want to damage, especially with when I was putting in a processor on a server. That's where I was really I was very, very nervous, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any static because, in the wintertime, my hair gets pretty staticky. So static electricity is not a good thing when you're working with electrical components. So you always want to discharge yourself. So you can wear an ESD strap, or you can have, so it looks like this, or you can have a mat that has an ESD that can connect as well. So you just want to make sure. And that's it. That's everything. So we are probably going to go on to 1.6 and troubleshooting network problems, and then we'll finish up with this chapter. So we'll just talk about the network troubleshooting methodology. I'll tell you how I kind of go through things and give you a scenario. And troubleshooting is probably the biggest thing that you'll end up doing as a network administrator. And so that's why they call it the most significant skill that you can learn. So you'll be called to troubleshoot just about everything. Everyone is always calling you with their problems, saying that they need help with something, whether it's and it might be the networking hardware, operating system, any applications on those, or any network resource. A lot of times my printers happen to be a problem quite a bit of the time. And so the A+ exam has a big emphasis on troubleshooting. So troubleshooting is just huge. And here's a figure that's kind of like the general approach to troubleshooting. So obviously you're going to identify. First step is identify. So the starting thing is gather your information, look at all the different symptoms in an issue, and then you'll start with creating a theory. So you'll ask different questions about things and then go through the OSI model. You can either go bottom to top or top to bottom. I like to go from the physical layer. I like to start with layer 1, physical layer, and work my way up because generally sometimes, to me, some of the physical issues are the easiest. So I like to go through those and double check all of the wiring, all of, making sure a necessary computer is on. Sometimes restarting is necessary. So that's what I like to do. And then test your theory. So test your guess. Did it work? Did it not work? If it worked, then you kind of like, plan your steps out to resolve the problem or fix it, and then implement the solution. So you're going to fix it. Or escalate. You could send that to a different area. And then step 6 is you're going to verify that it works. Did you solve it? Yes or no? If you did solve it, could this have been prevented? And then make sure that you do the steps necessary to document and to, if it could have been prevented, what you could have done to prevent it. So if you come back up to your theory, if it was not confirmed, do you give up? No, you're not going to give up. But then you go back to the OSI model and see what else you need to work on. So then you can go through that. If you need help, you can escalate it and go to the next level to get things figured out. So then they go through all of them. Establishing a plan for resolving the problem or specific change management procedures. So there could be a process in place that people aren't using that need to be evaluated. So change management it's a whole class in itself. Change management is very, very difficult. People do not like to change. I remember back when we switched to using, this was a long time ago. We were using we were not using Word, and we switched over to using Word, and the previous one was called WordPerfect, and people did not want to change. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't want to change either, but it was the organization's plan, and that's what they did, and so we had to go through and follow all of that, and it is definitely a thing in itself. And the final one, okay, so step 7, the other thing is, you want to document, and so that you have a knowledge base. So you create a knowledge base or a collection of information. So that includes your insights and solutions to problems that have happened on the network. So if it's something that happens again, you can go back and you can look at it. Here's some more steps. This one's troubleshooting a failed network connection. So it just kind of gives you analysis on how to do that. So a failed network connection, you're going to identify the problem and its symptoms. So you're going to, so like last night, actually almost all day yesterday, my internet was spotty. And I always think, oh God, is it my issue or is it somebody else's? So I opened up a browser and I couldn't get anywhere. Then I went to my phone, and on my phone, it automatically disconnects from the wireless if it's not connected, but I still had a wireless signal. So I'm like, oh. So then I went to test my speed. I got the Test My Speed app, speed test. So this speed test, I have this as an app on my computer, and you click go, and you can see, well, this is what we'll see how it's working. My husband's in the other room watching TV, so we'll see. And you can see how slow it is. Oh my gosh, it's running slow now. It is very slow right now. Should not be this slow, but this is just the story of my life. So it'll test your download speed, and then it'll test your upload speed. Yeah, look at my upload speed's better. So now if my upload speed is better, then I go back in and test it again because it's probably, just as fast. So I like the speedtest.net, and I use that. And so if I use that on my phone, and then it was like 0. It was so, and then it went to, I'm going to test it again. If it's at like 0, it was out. So it was out, and I couldn't reach any website. I saw an error message, and then I actually was testing it on other items. So I went in and I looked at my router that was coming in my home, and I left it plugged in, but I made sure all of the cables were plugged in. And then I went online. I took my phone off a wireless, went online to see if there was any support issues for that organization. Yes, I'm just having so many download issues. So then you go through and you test your theories. So like if it's a hardware problem, you go and you're like, oh, okay, I need to plug it back in. Then you can just go in and check the cable and plug it back in. So you really, what you're doing is you're doing all of these things in a quick fashion, but you don't realize that you're doing a step-by-step, right? So we test your theory. So you check the cable. Yep, it's not plugged in. Then you decide, pick it up and plug it in. So you're establishing your plan and you're implementing. So then you're going to verify that it works. So then you go back and you test your browser. And I probably would go here to see if it works. Now I'm obsessed with how slow my internet is right now. And then you document any findings. So you would document anything and everything. So especially in a work environment. And so that was chapter 6. So 1-6. So it was 1-5 and 1-6. And then 1-7 is just kind of like the summary. So you all can go and look at that summary. And that is all for module 1, Introduction to Networks. We will talk about each one of these things in further detail in upcoming chapters.